How to get around landlord paid utilities. So I made a video about like single family stuff and how obviously the landlord, or in that case, the landlord should never pay any of the utilities, right? It's all a tenant responsibility. But how about if you're buying a bigger building that you're pretty much stuck with paying the utilities because that's how it's set up. So that's kind of where this idea came from, right? So the building we're buying is a tenant only pays electric, right? Only electric is individually metered, and landlord, us, we'd be paying gas and water, which sucks, right? Because as we all know, when something's free, you use it. You don't care about it since you're not paying for it, right? So the first thing we did market research. So we figured out that other places in the area, their rent was much higher, which was a bonus, right? So about $100 to $150 higher than what the units that we're buying are at. So that's a huge upside. The other thing we noticed was we called the places and we asked if they charge a fee for gas or water, and they did. So a lot of places do that when it's a landlord paid utility, right? So they'll advertise the rent as, let's call it $1,000 a month, but they'll still charge a fee on top of that for gas and electric or water or whatever. What that means is we have the upside of raising rents $100 to $150, along with charging back utilities to the tenants, which we cut off, let's say $50 a month. So that $150 or $100 to $150 could be $150 to $200 money we're making, right? Because it's an expense that we're not paying for anymore. So that's more money that it's in our pocket, which is awesome and gives a deal much more upside, right? So when you're looking at stuff like that, the first thing to do is, depending on how big the property is and how big the expenses are, it might make sense to individually meter the water, the electric, or the gas. But again, it depends how the building's actually set up. Gas is really, really hard to do that with because you would need a separate boiler for every single one. I guess there's ways around it, but again, it's really expensive, and if it's a smaller building, it's really hard to make that work. Another thing you could do as you're turning units, you can put in systems like I can't think of the name right now, but it's a heating and cooling system that could heat and cool the whole apartment, and it runs all off of electric. So that way you don't even have to worry about the gas splitting, because since the electric's already split, the tenants would be paying all that. And water, again, same thing. You could just take however much the water bill is divided by how many units and kind of charge everyone back that way. There's different ways you can actually put things on the pipes and track it. Again, that's expensive. You want to do things that cost the least amount of money and get you the most amount of return. So that's kind of how you can get around landlord paid utilities. Obviously, just buy a building that it's all tenant paid utilities, because that would make life a lot easier. But if you are getting a good deal on a place that, let's just say the tenant pays electric, but the landlord pays gas and water, you can do chargebacks, or you can individually meter depending on the cost. So it all depends on that cost that you have to put, right? Because if, let's just say you're buying a building and you got to spend like $10,000 a unit, crazy number, but let's just say that's what you got to spend to get that water and gas like individually metered for every single one of those buildings or those units. If you have 100 units, you're spending a crazy amount of money, and the amount of money that you're cutting off your expenses for that $10,000 you're putting in doesn't justify it, right? So it justifies it more putting that $10,000 maybe in the unit and making it look nice if the market allows it, and getting that much more rent and getting a higher tenant or higher class tenant in there. But just something to think about. Houses, no matter what, always tenant pays. Sometimes with the bigger buildings, landlord gets stuck paying some of the utilities, sometimes all of the utilities. I try to stay away from it, but if a deal is a good deal, and you kind of take that into account. So you ask the person that you're buying from, like, hey, what are your water bills? What's your gas bills for the past 2-3 years, right? 2 or 3 years ago, we had like the worst winter ever. So that would be worst case-ish, right? From an expense standpoint, and run your numbers off of that. And if the deal still makes sense, then the deal still makes sense. And if you can convert that stuff to tenant paid with the minimal money invested, then it's even better on your, bottom line. So hope this video helped. And if you come up with any ideas on videos I should make, let me know, because after 100, however many videos I've made, I'm starting to run out of ideas. So hope you have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.